Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Darth Slone, and this is going to be your ultimate beginner guide, as a lot of people have been surprisingly and very grateful that people have been picking this game up even after the ending of development, because guys, at the end of the day, there's 5 great maps that you can continue to play on for the angler. There's just not going to be any more new maps added, but there is plenty. Even in my situation where I'm max level and caught all the diamonds in the game, there are still plenty of competitions out there that make this game fun. I host a top 5 leaderboard competition that goes from season to season. We do 4 seasons a year, so it's just a great game. So whether they're going to add any new maps or not doesn't matter. But this guide, we're standing here in the area where you're going to spawn in. So this guide is going to be everything that you need to know if you just bought the angler and you're starting out. And this is Golden Ridge Reserve. You'll follow kind of the same strategies and things. By the time you get on a new map, you'll kind of know what you're doing. So we're going to use Golden Ridge Reserve, for example. We're not going to touch on missions very much. I will kind of go over what you should do, but we're not going to get into the specific missions. You just kind of follow, I will say, track your missions. So when you get into missions, whatever missions you're doing, and you'll see the tutorial missions over here, when you click on the missions after you pick them up, and I'll show you exactly where you pick your missions up. You click on them and track them, it'll show you on the map. It will put, if you pan out, it will put like a little diamond gold thing that shows you exactly where to go and catch a fish or take a picture or whatever it is that you need to do for those missions. So I'm going to show you where to pick the missions up. All of them are picked up at a challenge board. As you can see here, this little icon right here. Now you won't see that when you first start out, but it's back in the home, Diamonds Peak outpost. I'll show you where that stuff is. I'm going to show you how to set your rods up. I'm going to show you how to, put your reels, your lines, even like things with lures, baits, the different types of poles, even things like this. Look, you can fast travel to your car. And if you have a boat out, like down here, I have a boat somewhere. I could, once I get close enough to my boat, like if I fast travel to there and my boat's parked right here, then I'll see my boat icon pop up and I can fast travel where I left my boat at. That wasn't always the case, but that was a nice little thing they added right before development ended. So that was nice. But all these little markers, you can put them down, add a marker. But I've reached the maximum amount, which I think is 40 on each map. But you can see here, I've got it marked Northern Pike. So that tells me I've caught a diamond Northern Pike there. So all these little markers and these legendaries, guys. The legendaries are something you really don't need to worry about right now. If you're just starting out, you need to learn how to fish first. And we're going to go over that stuff. I have guides to legendaries, even the missions that we're not going to talk about. If you get stuck on one, guys, I have guides on all the missions as well. So look those up. But today is learning about how to start out, how to play, just the basics. How do I catch fish? How do I set my poles up? What do I do? Okay, that type of thing. So you're going to spawn in right here in this area. And I can't remember because it's been so long ago since I started, but it's going to tell you to go catch a fish, I think, over here, and you spawn in with like a little bitty pole or something. I think that's what it does. I can't remember, or it might tell you to go into this lookout tower first, but it's self-explanatory. It'll tell you what to do. But I do want to say this, these lookout towers, guys, anytime that you get close to a lookout tower, you need to not just discover it, because it'll pop up and say lookout tower discovered. Don't just walk off like I did when I first started playing this game and be like, oh, okay, there's a lookout tower. You have to come up here, guys, and click on this and survey it, and it'll do a little pan around. I've already clicked on it, so I'm not going to click on it now, but it'll do a little pan around, and what it's going to do is on your map in the vicinity, it's going to put a little circle like that, but it's going to have a question mark in it. And that tells you that there's potential, something that you're going to need, like a fast travel point. You need to unlock all those fast travel points, guys, so you can get around the map quicker. And if you don't go up in the lookout towers and click on them, it's not going to put those on the map, and you may potentially just bypass or not get close enough to a fast travel point. Now, eventually it's going to lead you back to this area, and this is kind of like the main hub. This is the main one. These other ones, the other places down here are just little regions. They give you missions, really. You can't buy anything. There's no shop there in these other ones. There's like 4 of them on this map, and it just really separates the regions. They give you missions for that area, you know, so you're going to have challenge boards at each one of those, and they're going to give you the missions. Speaking of, right over here, right there's the challenge board. At each of these outposts and most of the, I think maybe even all the fast travel points, there's going to be like a little place that you can summon. Like this, you'll see a little telephone pole. You can summon your vehicle. You just hit that and your Jeep will magically appear right there, and then you can go wherever you need. Now, here's the big thing for all 4 of those locations we were talking about. The yellow icons, those are, you know, considered your hubs. You'll have these challenge boards full of missions. Pick them all up, and a lot of them is going to be bronze missions, and when you go out and catch that fish or take that picture or whatever, you'll have to keep coming back to this area and pick up the silver missions, the gold missions, and so forth. Taylor's Tackle Academy missions, and it's going to walk you through what to do there, but just remember to track them, to pull up the journal, and these are your missions. Okay, this is where you're going to get all your missions. Just follow what they do, and I have guides on those. Now, there is one more thing I'll talk about missions, and then we're going to get into your setup, how to fish, things like that. What types of poles you got, all that stuff. The stuff that really helps you catch fish. So I'm not going to stay too much longer on these missions. The Warden's favors. Now, pay attention. I constantly, still today, get messages from people. I've done all the missions, and I still don't have 1,000 reps. See, I'm going to hide my face here real quick because I'm covering up the rep. Right there, that is rep. You have to have 1,000 rep to buy everything that's in the shop. Everything is kind of staged to where it's a progression system. You can't buy a certain reel or a certain rod unless you have X amount of green stars or reputation, and you get those by doing all the missions on every map. This is your money, your currency in the game. You get those for catching fish and completing missions and things. Now, these right here, I want to explain. That's a gold token. So when you catch a gold fish, a fish that is rated pretty high, you see I have way more of those than I do the diamond tokens, and then I have the legendary tokens. Now, does that mean that I have only caught 32 legendaries in this game, or 69 diamonds in this game on this map, or 486 tokens? No, it does not. I've caught way more than that. I have cashed them in. That is currency. That is not. Now, everybody pay attention here. That is not a diamond counter. That is not a legendary counter or a gold counter. I've caught way more than this. I have cashed them in buying rods and reels. It's currency. You get rewarded those rare, these are more rare than what the gold is. Equipment, for example, if I want to buy the biggest reel in the game, look at that. 40 gold tokens, 4 diamond tokens, and 5 legendary tokens. So what happens is, if I were to buy that right now, I would then have 65 diamond tokens left, and I would have 27 legendary tokens left. See, I can math, Dads and Mike. And 40, so I would have 446 gold tokens left, and then it would take 45,000 off this number. Now this number, your currency up here, that transfers over to each map. Now, nothing else does though. That is the only currency that transfers from map to map. So if I was on Japan or South Africa or Norway or Spain, and it was the first time I was on that map, these would all be 0. So my advice to you, as you go, if you have all the maps and you're starting out and you're eyeballing, you know, there I have to have 875 rep to even buy that. But some of these other ones, let's say you've got enough rep to buy them all. Whichever map you are closer to buying your next big piece of gear that you're wanting, right? That's the map that I recommend that you fish on and catch your diamonds and your legendaries and your golds on. Whichever map you're closest to achieving that, which at first will be Golden Ridge. But let's say you buy a piece of gear on Golden Ridge and then you're all zeros You don't hardly have any tokens left. But you've been fishing around on Spain a little bit and you've got a few diamond tokens over there. You might want to start fishing on Spain for a little bit until you gather enough to buy your next big piece of gear. So that's how you do it. So because these things don't carry over. And let me show you where usually the last mission that people don't realize is up here in the top right. If you go to tight end and walk along this river, you'll probably find this flower or weed called hound's tongue. Okay, hound's tongue is the one that people, and the reason that people don't find it, and it's usually the last one, is because when you're doing your missions and stuff and it says go here and catch this fish or that fish or go take a picture of this, you don't ever get sent up here really. This is kind of off the trail, you know, off the beaten path. And so that's the one that people miss the most. So the Warden's favors, you have to find them on the map first. But fear not, I have a video for all of them. So any of them, if you have 6 out of 8 and can't find them or whatever, watch my video and I'll show you where I found my 8, wherever, how many it tells you to find. I'm going to show you how to set a pole up. Now this one right here, the Power Nexus, that's a match rod. There are 4 different types of rods in the game. Some of them may give you tutorials. I know the bottom rod does on how to use them, but the match rod is just a floating rod only. You can only use a floater and fish with a floater with the match rod. Now let's look at what I've got. Power Nexus, that's a level 100 rod. As soon as you hit level 100, you get that. At level 90, you get this Tiff Talker that goes with it. So you can put that on there. And then braided line. Let's talk about the types of line. Let's go over here and look in the shop. You have monofilament. Nobody uses monofilament. You might when you first start out because you can't afford nothing else. Fluorocarbon, you're going to use quite a bit. I'm still using 13-pound fluorocarbon. That's really the only fluorocarbon that I use because braided line is the best. The reason that you want to use braided line is because it allows you to put more of it on your reel. So let's say you got monofilament on, or fluorocarbon, and it only lets you put, we'll just guess here, 250 feet of line on it, on your reel. Braided of the same weight might let you put 350 on the reel, you know. So the reason that's important is when you start getting up into these big fish, they'll fight and they'll pull your line out and you got to play your drag, and we're going to go over drag, and they'll get you spooled to where you can't play with your drag anymore, and they'll snap your line. Okay. Braided line allows you to have more line on. It just gives you an extra, maybe even 100 feet to fight the fish with and tire it out so that it doesn't snap your line. When you go to fluorocarbon, it might snap. The only reason I use a 13-pound fluorocarbon is because it's the biggest line I can use on this other rod that I have that I like to fish with. And there isn't a 13-pound braided, but that's really about it. So braided line is what you need to use when you can. Now you're not going to be able to afford this stuff starting out. You're going to have to go catch some fish and stuff. And you're going to start off catching smaller fish. And if you follow the order of the missions, you'll catch bronzes and then silvers. When you start getting into the bigger fish like lake trout and stuff, make sure you've got the gear to catch it, guys. Save those bigger fish till the end because you're gradually going to start unlocking more and more and bigger rods. So let's look for the rods. When you get a chance, you know, if you can afford it, you know, start buying bigger rods. Here's the thing about rods. Let's look at this one, for example. Strength, right? 17.64. You know, that's just the strength. Like, I don't even know why that's there. Really, they could have left that off. It doesn't really have anything to do. It doesn't impact how you set up your rods. What you need to look at is right here at max line strength, right? 28.66 pounds, which is an odd number in itself, but 28.66 pounds if I had that one right there. And that is, I don't want to buy it, but that is a spinning. That's a spinning rod. Now, what's the difference between a spinning rod, you see here, and a bait casting rod? You see right here's the 4 different types of rods: bait casting, feeder, and match. Well, we talked about match. A match rod is floating only. A feeder rod is bottom only. That was the newest one put in the game. So all these rods, you see max line strength, 44 pounds, the graduation rod. That's the biggest one that you can buy, except for on Spain. On Spain, the Cetro del Rey is the biggest bottom rod. So when you get Spain, you need to get, I think it's 500 reputation, and then ever how many tokens, and you can buy that one. Bait casting is only lures. Only lures or soft plastics can you use with bait casting, okay? So that means you're going to be casting and reeling or jigging. If you're jigging, then you'll lay it on the bottom and just jig up and down. And we're going to go through all that. I'm going to show you all those things. So here's spinning. Spinning you can use as a float rod, a jigging rod, you know, you can jig with them, or you can bait casting. A spinning rod is your all around, use it for whatever you want except for bottom feeding. It'll do all the other stuff. Now when the jig heads go with the soft plastics. You can see here the sizes. Hook size 5 to 3. So I could buy the jig head. Now I want to save you some pain. Look at the difference of the jig heads here. You got light, medium, and heavy. Always buy heavy. That's what I do. The weight is 0.19. So I buy one each whenever you can. The heavy, because nobody told me this to start with, but when you're in 200-foot water and you're waiting on your soft plastic to sink all the way to the bottom, like if you're fishing for sidewinder and you're jigging, it sinks so much faster if you have the heavy jig head on there. So the jig heads go with the soft plastics, you know, whichever size you buy. If you buy like that one we looked at, 5 through 3, right there, 3, 4, 5. You could use any of those hooks and put that plastic on it. Now, how do you determine what size of any of this stuff? And the sinkers also go onto the bottom feeder rods. We'll look at that set up here in a minute. The floats, if you're going to use the float, get the waggler. That one doesn't drift with the current as much, so that's the best float, the waggler. Baits, you're going to throw out these right here to attract fish, these ground baits. And the way you throw them out, you go to your handbook, you click through a lot of these. You can see right there, lake mix, popper, frog, the things that the largemouth bass likes, right? And that's about a 10-pound fish. So I don't want to go out with the starting rod that's 2 pounds and start trying to catch big fish, you know? It's going to start you with the smaller fish, perch and crappie and things like that. Work your way up. Whenever you can get a pole that will handle 10 pounds, you know, and remember, you look at the maximum line strength. Now let's set that pole back up. It's float pole. So I click on this. That's the only option. These are already equipped. So I click on that. That one goes with it. And then here's my line, 55-pound braided, because that matches the max drag on that. It maxes the max line strength right there, 55 pounds. So that's the one I put on. And then there's that waggler. And then what am I fishing for? How do I know what hook size to use? Well, in my top 5, if you join my Discord, if you come down below the angler and you look at top 5 leaderboard 2025 right there, you click on that. Click on this link and it brings you to this page right here. It has a little bit of everything in it. This has to do with my competition, but if you click on the top 5, you're on Golden Ridge. Let's say you want to fish for bluegill, right? You're here. Look at the hook sizes. B, that means bronze. Number 9. Silver, number 8. Gold, number 7, and diamond, number 6. Now here's something everybody needs to know. Diamonds will bite down. A diamond will bite down on a 7, an 8, a 9. It'll bite down. It's just fish won't bite up. That's the difference. If you're using a diamond hook, number 6, then a gold is not going to bite that hook. It's too big of a hook for it. Okay? So the only fish, if you're using a number 6, it's just a bluegill. Well, now if there's other fish in the area that will bite a number 6 and bite the same bait you're using, you might catch another fish. But as far as bluegill go, If you catch a bluegill, it will be a diamond if you're using the number 6. Now here's the issue. If there's not a diamond where you're fishing, you sit there all day and you're not going to catch a bluegill. So here's what I recommend. Every species of fish, use a silver hook, whatever you're going for. And if you're not getting any bites, drop down to a bronze hook. Now most fish, there will be plenty of silvers in the area. You catch a bunch of silvers, and what we think happens is eventually a gold or a diamond will spawn in. One of the silvers you caught will spawn back in as a gold or a diamond. That's what we think happens. Let's look at the Central Del Rey. I've got it. I've got the Tiff Talker again, because that will also go on that. We have 60-pound braided. Now it will hold 66-pound line, but as far as braided goes, 60 is the biggest braided. So I always put braided on it. That handles about anything. You know, you might have a longer fight if you hook into something real big. You need a sinker. There's 4/0, so that's a diamond hook, you know. And then there's cheese. But you see what the fish like. You click on it, it shows you. Now hit tab, and it shows you more than just match blend, liver, and shad. It just shows the first 3 if you're looking here, but hit tab. I didn't know this for a long time. If you hit tab, it shows you all the baits and lures and things that they like right there. And we see match blend. So if we're going to gear, we click on this, or if we're using our hand there, match blend is what, if I was fishing for burbot, I would throw that out there, and then I would cast near my bait ball. But let's go through. How do you cast? How do you do all that stuff? Let's go out here. All right, so I'm hitting Q. That brings up this menu. I'm going to click on this to get my bait ball out there. And right here's where my match blend is. It's on the hand. So I click that, and I can aim wherever. I'm just going to hold down. For me, it's hold down the left click. And you see that little bar fill up down there, and then that throws it to 45 feet. Now that's a little timer. When that runs out, it runs out every couple minutes or something. You need to throw another one. Now that's match blend. Now, I don't know why I threw that out there. That's really not what I need to fish for, but let's go through the motions. Here's the power nexus. I'm not really fishing for that, but I want to land close to that 45 feet. There's 44.8. Now that took a lot of practice for me to get to know the distances like that. And then you can hit F to zoom in. Now, if you're in some areas at nighttime, turn your flashlight on. So right here, it's on already. But if I was at nighttime, that flashlight might even help me see fish swim up to that. I'm probably not going to get a bite on anything right there. But so if I've casted way out there and I don't feel like reeling my line in, I just cut it. On here, it's E. So around here, I'm probably catch some crappie or some bass or something like that. So let's look. That's how I do that. Now here's a bottom feeder rod. Same thing, really. It's just going to be on the bottom. I'm going to hit it out. This is the Central Del Rey everybody's crazy over. I'm just going to let that lay to the bottom there. It's 20 feet. Okay, now if I want to put it in a rod holder, look here. Look over on the left. K, put rod in holder. Whatever button yours says if you're on console. So there, that's in a holder right there. So now if I want to use this one, cast it out there. K. Now I can put those 2 on the bottom, and then I can fish with this one out of my hand. Let's say I want to do a full cast. And you can see there, we are using a jigging setup. So it's sunk on the bottom. I hit the space bar. Look, Ma, no hands, I'm jigging, right? So it's just gonna sit there and jig up and down. If I get a bite, my icon on the left will start, you'll see a fish like it's biting and shaking and highlighted. And then what I'll do is I'll cut my line. Oh, I am getting a bite right there. What have I caught? So I cut my line. I hit 4 to put it back up because number 4 was my, I don't know what I've caught here, guys. I didn't think I would get a bite on this. I don't even know. And then I right clicked to set the hook. That's a drum, freshwater drum, 4.89 pounds. I didn't think I'd catch anything here because that's one thing that we've not looked at. So lures, Growlrider, True Mediator, braided, just any lure. And here's it's just how to use it, okay? So let's say I was fishing, you know, say I needed to get out there a little bit, fishing for something. I get out there, this will throw it a little farther. We see about 70 feet. And then I want to cast past that and reel through it, right? So here's a popper. If you look at the popper, it shows twitching as its main thing. So how do we twitch? If you look down here, control. The control button twitches. So now it's going side to side and I just reel in. Now some fish you'll learn over time are really slow. So right now I'm looking at a speed of 3 times. If you look in the bottom left, right? Bottom left 3 times. So I can use my middle mouse, slow it down to 2, or I can even slow it down to 1. Some of those, oh, what have we caught here? I didn't think I'd catch anything on that. Now another thing, I'm a little overpowered with 99-pound braided line here. We've caught a largemouth bass right there. Now X and Z down there, let me show you, let me set a pole up to show you how to use drag. Now this one will give me a little bit more of a fight. I'm gonna switch it over to a lure spinning rig. Because it seems to be working okay. And we're gonna use that lake mix again. All right, so here's the pole I just set up. And I'll show you a little bit about how to use your drag. Now, if I hit X, see that's going up 45, 50, 55, 60. See there? Now, let's adjust that drag. See there? 5%. It's now taking line out. But if I have a big fish on it, I might need to drop it to 5% so it doesn't snap my line, right? So see there, it's taking me on out. Now I hit X again, takes it up 10%. Now I'm reeling it in. So that tightens my drag up and helps me. A lot of fish, you really got to learn how to adjust that drag. If it's taking line out, as long as you're not going cherry red, and what I mean by that is when you get a bite and this circle in the bottom right goes to deep red, like past 9 o'clock. If it goes past 9 o'clock, starts turning cherry red, if it stays in that cherry red for very long, it's going to snap your line. So to keep that from happening, a lot of times you play with your drag. Take it, the lower the drag, the more line it'll let take out. The higher the drag like this, it tightens that drag up, but you run the risk of snapping your line. So you got to watch that. I like to leave the drag around 30% or its default. Then based on how big the fish is, I'll either go up or down. But that's the things you got to learn. Now, if there's anything I've not covered, guys, I live stream. Don't be afraid to jump in and ask questions. We will help you. But I've got guides on just about everything out there. So I hope this helps you understand how to fish. Good luck to you out there, guys. You'll be catching those bigger and bigger fish in no time. Now, if I've helped you at all, please do me a favor, hit that free subscribe button. Our next stream, we're going to be doing some giveaways because we did surpass 11,000 subscribers. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, my name's Darth Slone. Don't be afraid to drop a comment under the video there and let me know if there's something I left out. If there was, I'm sorry. It's already a long video, but thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.